How you doing out there? How you doing? It's Frankie Russo pre-show number 77. How you all doing, man? Crazy week, crazy stuff going on. I'm just going to keep my focus on this whole situation because I believe besides the imploding of the United States economy, the collapse of the United States dollar, the Obama administration is a criminal enterprise, and this whole relationship between the Obama administration, the Clinton Foundation, and Iran is our biggest threat, truth be told. That's why I'm focused on this thing every week, because this is where the game is. And I've been going deep waters because I'm going back to like the 90s. I haven't gone to the 70s. That's where the Shah of Iran and the exile and the whole thing. I'm just going to the 70s. And I started with the Alevi Foundation. Bank Melli of Iran, the Assa Corporation, terrorist entity. We've gone through this every week. Obama, legal president, fraudulent sector service card, statistically significant. Sheriff Joe and the Cole Posse. Got to see that. We got a legal president based on federal law. Truth be told. Okay. Obama Memorandum of Understanding, 2008. Clinton Foundation. Hillary Clinton's the Secretary of State. And we got Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Cheryl Mills, and Huma Abedin. Now, that I believe right there is an illegal enterprise, a criminal enterprise right there. So I believe, do you believe the Obama administration, the executive branch of the United States government is a criminal enterprise? And I believe it's statistically significant. I believe it is. Now, taking the part two to this, because I'm moving now into this stuff. The part two, Alevi Foundation, Assa Corporation, Bank Melli of Iran. This was deemed by court papers, judge's decision, Pre-Bahara, Judge Catherine Forrest, that this is a terrorist entity and it's really the Iranian government, and they're funneling their money laundering money to this terrorist entity to the Iranian government. So basically, 650 Fifth Avenue was the Iranian government until the United States government took it, seized it, and it's forfeited to the United States government. Until 2014, the Iranian government was petitioning the courts to get their property back, and they ruled in favor of the United States government. So the United States government seized the property, the 650 Fifth Avenue building, the building that's on 53rd Street and Fifth Avenue, has been seized and forfeited to the United States government. That's how deep this whole thing goes. Okay, now the Alevi Foundation donated $105,000 to the Clinton Foundation, and they say, oh, it's a Katrina relief, one foundation to another. This is a copacetic. This is okay. No laws have been broken. I just don't believe it. I don't believe, and according to the federal law, according to the Executive Order 1322-4, if the person or organization knows that the organization or person that's donating money to their foundation or to that person, if there's a transaction of money between the groups, if the person that's receiving the money knows that the donator is a terrorist entity, it's funding terror, it's prohibited. It's not legal. So I don't believe, through all the data that I've gone through, I can't believe that the Clinton Foundation, that President Clinton, that Obama, Hillary Clinton doesn't know that the Alevi Foundation is a terrorist entity, that the Alevi Foundation is funding terror. How don't they know that? So then we found out that $1.4 million, takes us a step further, $1.4 million went to the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. And that opens up a whole another can of worms. And that's where we're at this point. Okay? So I'm going to move now forward with this. We're going forward. I'm going to try to go as deep waters as quickly as I can for as long as I can, because I got my live show. So stay with me, bear with me. It's Frankie Russo pre-show. Okay, this is what I'm finding out. Okay? So we got a statistically significant data. District Attorney Preet Bharara won his case, and the judge ruled in favor of that the Iranian government, that the Alevi Foundation, Assa Corporation, and Bank Melli of Iran, that owns the interest in 650 Fifth Avenue building, is the Iranian government. And the Iranian government, as we said earlier, had to seize and forfeit the property over to the United States. Also, United States government, also they had 4 mosques as well that are in America. They were also seized and forfeited to the United States government. So, I ask this question all the time: How doesn't the Clinton Foundation, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, not know that the Levy Foundation is a terrorist entity? The Levy Foundation is funding terror. How don't they know that? So I'm just going to give you a summary of everything that we found because then we talk about the $1.4 million from the Levy Foundation to the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. And don't forget, now what I'm going to bring it in later. So I said, don't forget, we're going to bring in activities, individuals, and entities associated with the Blind Sheikh and the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. 14 radical Islamists and other entities, either serving 5 to 15-year prison sentences and/or lifetime prison sentences and/or been designated and sanctioned as a terrorist entity for either illegal money transmitting or money laundering, millions of dollars for terror, and/or plotting to or blowing up American buildings, and unfortunately killing thousands of Americans. To give you a further idea on this, what's affiliated with the Blind Sheikh and the Blind Sheikh's Mosque? A Levy Foundation, 650 Fifth Avenue, Manhattan building case, Iranian government, money laundering, plus the Holy Land Foundation trial. Muhammad al-Nudi with the Blind Sheikh and Musa Abu Marzouk, okay? Holy Land Foundation trial, money laundering, plus Brooklyn Al-Rani illegal money transmitting ring. Yemen sheikhs, Mohammed al-Mawad, was found guilty $20 million to Al-Qaeda, $5 million to Hamas, right from the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. The Brooklyn Ice Cream Parlor, remember we talked about the Brooklyn Ice Cream Parlor, $21 million from 10 feeder accounts is in this small ice cream parlor on Flatbush Avenue, Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn, funneling to 16 countries, $20 million for terror. So millions of dollars to Al-Qaeda and Hamas, plotting to bomb United Nations, George Washington Bridge, Lincoln Tunnel, Holland Tunnel, 26 Federal Plaza, plus the actual bombing of the World Trade Center in 1993, and then the horrific September 11th terrorist attack, killing of unfortunate events of thousands of Americans. Still, the Obama administration, Clinton Foundation, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Obama don't know that the Levy Foundation is funding terror, that the Levy Foundation is a terrorist entity. Look at the terrorist network. And the 650 Fifth Avenue building, a Levy Foundation, Assa Corporation, Bank Melli of Iran. Bank Melli of Iran has been sanctioned by in 2007 was sanctioned by the Treasury Department. So I mean, they know. There's no way that they don't know that the Levy Foundation is a terrorist entity, that the Levy Foundation is funding terror. But there's more. It came to our attention that the United States District Court found, Iran behind September 11th, 2001 bombing, the unfortunate bombing of the World Trade Center. Really, Iran. So what's really crazy is, according to the district judge, the U.S. District Judge Daniels, he ruled that Iran and Hezbollah materially and directly supported Al-Qaeda before, during, and after the events of September 11, 2001. Crazy. So now, this opens up a whole new can of worms now. Because before that, I was getting this. Was Iran involved in the attack on the American embassy in Benghazi on September 11, 2012? Right? And this is September 11, 2001. Stay with me on this now. Because the big argument is, before we move this forward, the Sunni Shiite thing. Okay? Iran is Shia Okay, Al Qaeda is Sunni, militant branch of Muslim Brotherhood, according to all intelligence agencies, the intelligence communities. It's crazy stuff. Statistically significant, I believe. I want you to hold that thought for a second. Okay, what I mentioned about the American consulate in Benghazi, September 11, 2012. I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind as I move forward with this thing. Okay. So now we got Iran directly, materially and directly, before, during, and after, involved with Al Qaeda, before, during, and after, involved with Al Qaeda with the events, with the unfortunate attack of September 11, 2001. So now there's no mystery here. Okay? We got, not only do we have it with Romney, Youssef, and I talked about the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. It's a court, this is a court order, this is a court decision, court papers, and a judge's decision, Judge Daniels. So that adds more fuel to the fire. So now, World Trade Center, Iran is there. The Quad Force through not only the Navy Foundation, but Bank Melli of Iran, because according to the Treasury Department in 2007, I think it is, the Treasury Department designated Bank Melli of Iran a terrorist entity, and according to the Treasury Department, Bank Melli of Iran gave $100 million to Hamas, to Hezbollah, and the Iranian Quad Force. So Bank Melli of Iran is unequivocally, without even, is a terrorist entity, and the Alevi Foundation is attached to this thing through Bank Melli of Iran and through the 650 Fifth Avenue building case. So how doesn't the Clinton Foundation, how doesn't President Clinton, how doesn't Obama, Hillary Clinton not know that the Alevi Foundation is a terrorist entity, not know the Alevi Foundation is a state sponsor of terror, not know that the Alevi Foundation is funding terror? Okay, so now, just so you understand, the Blind Sheikh's Mosque is the big, from there now. So we got the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. We talked about the 14 radical Islamists and all the time that they're serving in prison, the money laundering, the illegal money transfers, and now we go to the September 11th. So in each instance, we got the World Trade Center bombing, we got the 9/11 attacks, the horrific attacks on the World Trade Center. Unbelievable. Thousands of Americans dying. And nobody knows that the Alevi Foundation is funding terror, that they're a terrorist entity. So to move this thing a little further, a few sidebars I have here. Now, remember we talk about, before we get into this thing with the Clinton Foundation, I just want to say also too, so through the Bank Melli funding of terror and the Alevi Foundation with the 650 Fifth Avenue building, and we got the Hamas financing, which basically, in all intents and purposes, the Holy Land Foundation trial, which is with the Blind Sheikh and Muhammad al-Anudi, which is with Musa Abu Mazouk. That's the Holy Land Foundation with the Hamas financing. Hamas is basically Iran. Between Bank Melli and the Quad Force funding Hamas, which is according to the Postal article, which I'm going to get to in a minute. Also, who's giving Hamas the rockets to drop on Israel? Iran, the Quad Force, General Soleimani. So this is a crazy thing. And what also was a little crazier too, in 2011, this is another instance where Iran is really like all over the place. There was an Iranian American in Mexico. This is court papers and a judge's decision. An Iranian American in Mexico, Mansour Abra Bosur. I don't know if I pronounced it right. I'll have his name typed out next week, so you'll see it. He was in Mexico in 2011 with a Quad Force leader giving a Mexican drug cartel $100,000 to come to America and assassinate a Saudi ambassador to the United States. And court papers, judge's decision, FBI surveillance, wiretaps, body wires, wire transfers, everything, phone conversations, the whole thing. They got it down. And it's not just one Quad Force leader, it's 4 Quad Force leaders in the complaint, in the case, their names and everything. And the one name is the General Soleimani. In the United States, through this assassination plot of the Saudi ambassador to the United States. Now, according to Judge Napolitano, that was a criminal act. If the assassination plot was followed through with, and they weren't busted by Preet Bharara and the FBI, then this whole thing would have been an act of war. Crazy. But interestingly enough, when you look at this thing, the Iranian officials take the plausible deniability route, because the way they set it up with the Quad Force and Soleimani, they're able to get their testicles into the United States without putting their fingerprints on anything. But we got the goods through the intelligence community that it was and is Iran, and it was and is the Iranian Quad Force, led by General Soleimani. That's in 2011. So right now, all intents and purposes, we got Iran everywhere. They are what's going to come out to be the global terrorist network. They are unequivocally the leader of this global terrorist network, unequivocally. Now, before I get into this other thing, I just want to give you all a little something on this. Now, this whole thing, too many dismiss the question. This is an article by Richard Palmer of the Trumpet. Because this whole thing, for everybody to understand, this whole thing, because you got, prior to myself finding all this other data, I was saying to myself, like the Alevi Foundation is Iran. Iran's Shia. Al-Qaeda, Hamas, all intents and purposes, Hamas is the Palestinian branch of Muslim Brotherhood, and Al-Qaeda is the militant branch of Muslim Brotherhood. And all intents and purposes, according to the intelligence community, Muslim Brotherhood is predominantly Sunni. So in this instance, the question arises, Benghazi was a Al-Qaeda, it's Sunni. They hate the Shiites in Iran, no? That's the general thrust of this. The war in Syria seems to confirm this view. Al-Qaeda sends its men and resources to support the rebels, while Iran and Hezbollah prop up Assad. But the truth is, the Al-Qaeda-Iranian relationship is much more complicated. The Sunni-Shia divide is real and significant, but Iran and Al-Qaeda's hatred for the West is even more powerful. Iran and Al-Qaeda have fallen out in the past, but they have a proven record of working together. And to take this a step further, the case, because 9/11 came out later, the 9/11 Commission, page 61, which talks about this Al-Qaeda-Iranian connection. Now, Claire Lopez and Dr. Bruce Teffet were expert witnesses on this Iranian involvement of 9/11, which as a sidebar, just as another sidebar, so everybody understands. You see, I believe Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and Obama are counting on the time value of information, because a lot of this information, unfortunately, comes out 10 years to 12 years later. Then they're figuring they'll be out of office, or they'll be whatever, and then the time will pass and they'll get away with it. As opposed, so that's what they're counting on. So Look how long it took for it to come out that Iran actually was involved with this whole thing. This September 11, 2001. I think this, if I'm not mistaken, this case didn't come out till like 2011. This Iran, it didn't come to a head till 2011. Iran is behind the 9/11 attacks, the unfortunate attacks of the World Trade Center. So as expert witnesses, Claire Lopez and Dr. Teffet, engaged by the FBI as undercover operation officers and supervisors for over 25 years, while ones who currently retired. Both are privately retained by various federal contractors and engaged in terrorist gathering and security matters. Bruce Teffet has been found to be certified as an expert in the United States District Courts in D.C. Now, according to Lopez and Teffet, conclude their sworn affidavit by stating, "We are convinced that the overwhelming evidence assembled in this affidavit leaves no doubt that Al-Qaeda and the official Iranian regime at the highest levels have been acting in concert to plot and execute attacks against the United States since the early 1990s. The Pan-Islamic Alliance," I'm reading right from the complaint, "the Pan-Islamic Alliance that was forged across the supposed Sunni-Shia divide has been directed by the Iranian mullahs in close cooperation with Osama bin Laden, Ayman al-Zawahiri, and other top al-Qaeda leaders," according to Lopez and Teffet. And this is just the beginning. So with the September 11, 2001 attacks, Iran's behind that. It is conceivable, and it's court papers and a judge's decision. So this is statistically significant now. So now we got Iran in September 11, 2001. Crazy. Unbelievable. Now, I got a few sidebars here. Remember, like I said, why doesn't the Clinton, I believe like October 21st, 1998 was the beginning of when President Clinton at the time signed Presidential Determination 99-1 that gave the terrorist entities, he blocked the American people from garnering some sort of recovery for the loss of their loved ones from the terrorist entities. The terrorist regimes, he blocked them from going into court and going at their assets. The American people. He blocked the American people from going into court and actually going after their assets. Like Iran, 650 Fifth Avenue building. That's 99, Presidential Determination 99-1. He blocked that. So he went from the 1999 Omnibus Bill, which dealt with Section 117 and enabled American people, he signed off on it. American people were able to go and sue these terrorist regimes and go after their assets and get some sort of recovery for this unfortunate events to their loved ones. At least get them some recovery or something. So he blocked it. Like hours later, he signed off on this 99-1 presidential determination, and that's where we are. That's why I believe the beginning of this whole thing unravels, because what actually comes out, like for example, why? Like the questions that come out to me is why does Bill Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, Hillary Clinton, and Obama block? Because apparently, Obama administration moves to block restitution for U.S. terror victims as well. August 13, 2015, this is the Free Beacon. Obama administration has intervened in a landmark legal case brought by the American victims of the Palestinian terrorists, urging the court to limit restitution for the victims out of fear that a sizable payout could collapse the Palestinian government, according to a copy of the court filing. I don't understand. So we got Obama blocking, we got Clinton blocking. It's crazy, right? Now, some sidebar stuff to add to this. So why are they blocking? Are they blocking because Clinton Foundation donor violated Clinton Foundation donor violated Iranian sanctions, tried to sell 747s to Tehran. I got this in an article. The Daily Beast confirmed it, and I got to get the other source on this. But Clinton Foundation donor violated Iran sanctions, tried to sell 747s to Tehran. This Al Al Alagban's firm did business with Iranian airline accused of shipping guns and troops to Syria. An Iranian businessman accused by the United States government of violating sanctions on Tehran donated money to the Clinton Foundation, the Daily Beast has confirmed. So this Bali Aviation Limited, a London-based subsidiary of commodities trading firm Bali Group, tried to sell 747 airplanes to Iran despite a federal ban on such sales. I'm reading right from the article. The company pleaded guilty to 2 counts of criminal information in 2010. In its plea, the agreement, the Department of Justice, the Bali Aviation agreed to pay $2 million criminal fine, serve 5 years of corporate probation, and pay an additional $15 million in civil fines. The hefty sum was a direct consequence of the level of deception used to misguide investigators. This Bali firm stood out from the rest because the subsidiary of this firm deals with. So this guy, Alagbad's situation stands out, according to this article, stands out from the rest because the beneficiary of this firm's deal with Tehran was an Iranian airline accused by the United States government of working with the regime's foreign intelligence operatives and shipping arms and troops to Syria. Plus, if an agreement between Iran and the world's major powers is concluded, this is crazy. He'll come to benefit. With this deal, Al-Agbad, the owner of this Bali Group, Bali Aviation Limited, is going to benefit from this nuke deal. This is crazy. And why is he giving money to the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton consulting firm? Why? They're paying for the Bill Clinton influence. They're paying for the Clinton influence. All the contacts and influence that he made as president of the United States in America to avoid sanctions. One of the 2 counts against the Bali Aviation was that it conspired to export 3 747 aircrafts from the United States to Iran. According to a Justice Department statement, without first obtaining the necessary export licenses from the United States government. The company then used its Armenian airline subsidiary to buy the 747s with financing obtained from Maran Air, Iran's largest private airline, which is thought to be controlled by the former Iranian president, Akbar Hashmi. Crazy stuff. This is crazy stuff, man. You just can't make this stuff up. And in addition, this is additional information. In 2011, the Treasury Department sanctioned the airline, private airline, Iran's private airline, for providing financial, material, and technological support to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard's Quad Force. That's the arm of the Islamic Republic's military division, now heavily active in both Syria and Iraq. At the time, the Treasury Department accused the Quad Force of secretly ferrying operatives, weapons, and funds on Maran Air, which is Iran's largest private airline. Crazy stuff. How I don't understand this. I'm telling you, besides the imploding United States economy, besides the collapse of the United States dollar, this our relationship Iran with the Clinton Foundation and the Obama administration is the biggest threat to our national security. It's the biggest threat to the American people. It's the biggest threat to our way of life. This is crazy stuff. Think about this. Bill Clinton's foundation cashed in as Sweden lobbied Hillary on sanctions, the Washington Times reported. Bill Clinton's foundation set up a fundraising arm in Sweden that collected 26 million in donations at the same time that the country was lobbying Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State to forego sanctions that threatened its thriving business with Iran. That's another big problem because the European community is not going to they're not going to tell us whether Iran is going along with the program or not. They want to do business with Iran. They want to do business with Iran. This is crazy stuff. This is the Clinton Foundation selling. This is the Clinton consulting firm selling influence, selling the 8 years as president of the United States, all his contacts, he knows the ins and outs of the United States government to a terrorist regime, basically Iran. He is the agent of Iran. Obama is the shore of Iran with this overall deal, and Bill Clinton has been the agent of Iran since 1998. And I believe that these things are proof of all this. His dealings with Sweden, his dealing with that London-based Bally Group, that airline that dealt with the Iranian airline, and now we got something else now. It's come out before. I'm not saying anything that we don't already know. So we know that Hillary Clinton's been under siege with the Clinton Foundation donors, and Bill Clinton's consulting fees have overlapped with her State Department situation. Crazy stuff, right? And this is also including the Russian nuclear interests are involved with this as well. So we got 2.35 million came from family foundation of company chairman involved in selling Canadian uranium company to Russian state-owned firm. Donation into the Clinton Foundation. Hillary Clinton helped approve the $610 million sale in 2010, which gave Putin-linked company control over 1/5 of America's uranium. Now, Bill Clinton received 26 million in consulting fees, because these are consulting fees from foundation donors, including 500,000 from an investment bank tied to Putin and the Kremlin. So this is like crazy stuff, because now this is right from the article. Now this is crazy stuff because once again we're showing that this is the Clinton consulting firm. This is the Clinton. These are not speaking fees. According to an article in the New York Times, some of these contributions involve Uranium One into the Clinton Foundation, a Canadian uranium mining company that was taken over by this Russian Atomic Energy Agency. Uranium One takeover gave Russia control of 1/5 of U.S. uranium production and advanced Putin's goal of controlling most of global uranium supply chain. Because uranium is considered a strategic asset, the deal had to be approved by several U.S. agencies. Unfortunately, the Russians were gradually assuming control of Uranium One from 2009 to 2013. Why am I not shocked during the Obama administration? Why am I not shocked? Uranium One chairman used his family foundation to make a 2.35 million in donations to the Clinton Foundation. We mentioned that earlier. The Times article states that those contributions were not publicly disclosed by the Clintons, despite the agreement that the memorandum of understanding. They didn't. Now, in a Newsweek article, Clinton Foundation also accepted donations from a firm that was violating nuclear trade sanctions against Iran. Interpipe, a Cyprus incorporated company owned by the Ukraine mogul Viktor Pinchuk, sold oil pipelines to Iran in 2011, 2012 in violation of U.S. sanctions, but was not sanctioned for these sales while Clinton was Secretary of State. Crazy stuff. And Fox News came out with that between 2009 and 2013, Clinton Foundation received at least $8.6 million from this Victor Pinchuk Foundation, and also the Fox News reported that Pinchuk pledged more than $20 million to the foundation. Crazy stuff. Now, to go along with this whole thing, it's come out that General Soleimani, visited Moscow, met with Russian leaders in defiance of sanctions just recently. He also met with Putin. Now, the Soleimani visited Moscow to meet with senior Russian leaders, according to two Western intelligence sources, despite a travel ban and the UN Security Council resolutions barring him from leaving Iran. Now, what's really crazy is Soleimani arrived for meetings with Russian Defense Minister and Putin. He met with them. As far as what they discussed, it's our understanding, it's been reported on numerous outlets that he met to purchase weapons. Just to give you a little history, and we've talked about it before, Soleimani was designated a terrorist and sanctioned by the U.S. in 2005 for his role as supporter of terrorism. October 2011, we mentioned it earlier, Treasury Department tied Soleimani to the failed Iranian plot to assassinate the Saudi ambassador to the United States at a popular restaurant in D.C. The Quds Force is a special force. It's the Special Forces external wing of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, responsible for supporting terrorist proxies across the Middle East. It reports directly to Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini. And the sanctions haven't been lifted yet. And but the crazy thing about it is, the sanctions haven't been lifted yet. And Soleimani, as the head of the Iranian Quad Force, is sanctioned as part of the Security Council Resolution 1747 and is prohibited to travel, and any country that lets him transmit or travel is defying the sanctions. Russia is a permanent member of the Security Council, would have been aware of this restriction when meeting with him. Well, quite frankly, just to go a step further, and it's been reported that Russia's been, I got to get the articles, but I'm going to do it next week. Russia's giving arms to, Russia's selling arms to Iran, but I'm going to get the articles. That's something we're going to talk about next week. And also, just a little to understand this further, John Kerry, a week later, after General Soleimani did this, John Kerry went before the Congress in the oversight in the oversight hearings to talk about this Iranian nuke deal, and promised everybody that, I'm paraphrasing, but that Quad Force leader General Soleimani will be sanctioned, I'm paraphrasing, up the wazoo, basically what he's saying. He will be sanctioned so much, it'll never be lifted, he'll always be sanctioned. Really now. How do we believe these guys? How do we believe these people? They're not representing us. So before I go, I didn't get a chance to get into all the details of this other stuff I wanted to get into. But I just want to leave you with something, and I'm going to get into it next week, because I believe that, I'm going to end with this, okay? I believe that, and then I'm going to do let me see this. We got America's team, okay? So I just want to, before we go, because I got to get ready for the live show. Now, I gave you some examples on why I believe. So we got the Levy Foundation, just so we can tighten things up. We got Obama, illegal president, member of the Senator Clinton Foundation, the Levy Foundation, Asset Corporation, Bank Melody of Iran, 650 Fifth Avenue, $150,000 to the Clinton Foundation, $1.4 million to the Blind Chiefs Mosque. And we went all the way, bombing of the World Trade Center. We got the unfortunate bombings, killing of thousands of Americans, the September 1st, 2001. Iran's behind it. Terrorist plot, 2011. The Quad Force, Iran's behind it. The Quad Force, the Iranian Special Forces, is everywhere. Now, I mentioned in the article, was Iran involved in the attack on the American consulate in Benghazi on September 11, 2012? According to my data, and a gentleman named Kenneth Timmerman, who, quite frankly, has gone to North Africa, has been there, has been involved in communicating with these intelligence communities. He wrote a book called Dark Forces: The Truth About Benghazi, and I believe the cover-up is, and I'm not the only one, I'm on the outside looking in, he's actually the guy that wrote the book Dark Forces with the Truth About Benghazi, Kenneth Timmerman. I heard his interview with Frank Gaffney from the Center of Security Policy. Tremendous interview on the internet. And quite frankly, I believe with all the data, Iran is everywhere. Iran is involved in everything. Terror. They are the global network. And their influence, according to this Post article, which reports on the book Dark Forces, Kenneth Timmerman, Iraq, to give you an idea, Iraq, Soleimani has backed the Shiite Prime Minister Maliki, who's not there anymore, treated Iraq as the satellite state. Now the Sunni. So ISIS has their territories taking over the north. Iran and the Kurds took over their part. Whatever's left, Iran has. General Soleimani, the Quds Force guy. Now Syria, they've been spending $1 billion to prop up Assad. Okay, they oppose the Sunni rebels who want to overthrow Assad, and Assad's support for Hezbollah in Libya. So Soleimani has spearheaded the efforts to keep him in power. Billions of dollars. That's why. Okay, now Lebanon, we know Hezbollah with Soleimani, they took over there. The Palestinian territories, the Gaza and the Hamas, that's Iran. Between the money, between the bank money, sending hundreds of millions of dollars to Hamas and Iran and other terrorist entities. What's his name? The Quad Force leader, Soleimani. They're also giving rockets to Iran to drop rockets to Hamas to drop on Israel. So that's another Sunni tribe, and this is Iran. Iran is contradicting all of the general idea that the Sunnis and the Shiites don't get along. Iran is getting along with them. They're giving them money, and they're a connection. And I'm going to go in deeper next week on this connection. Libya, I'm going to get there in a second. And the United States, they talk about Soleimani really goes after the United States directly, but he has orchestrated some plots, like we said, the 2011 Justice Department alleged his agents tried to hire with the Mexican drug cartel to blow up to assassinate the Saudi ambassador to the United States in Washington. That's another. And now we got Libya. Now, I believe everywhere we turn, Iran is the leader in this global terrorist network. And I believe it's going to become statistically significant that the Benghazi cover-up is that it's not a video, and we know that. And we also know that they knew, Obama, Hillary Clinton, everybody within the Obama administration knew 10 days ahead of time that there was an orchestrated attack taking place. And it came out that the video, it wasn't Al-Qaeda. It's not Al-Qaeda. It's Iran. I'm telling you, we're going to go further into this and they can't let nobody know because, hey, could think about it. If it came out that Iran was behind the killings of the 4 Americans, the killing of Ambassador Stevens, first of all, Obama, with all the fraud going on, he would have a serious problem getting reelected. And secondly, he wouldn't be able to do what he's doing now with this fake fraud Iranian nuke deal. Crazy stuff. We're going to go in deeper on this, that the Benghazi cover-up. Now, this is, I believe, is statistically significant. Like I said earlier, I got to close this out. I believe this is statistically significant. Like I said earlier, I'm not there. Kenneth Timmerman is, and this is what he reported. And I believe his information is statistically significant. And when I combined it with all the data that we've accumulated from the late 1990s till today, with Iran being everywhere, from World Trade Center, Levy Foundation, Bank Melli of Iran, the 9/11 attacks, 2011 the Saudi assassination plot, ambassador plot, the assassination plot on the Saudi ambassador, all these other things. I'm going to get deeper into the Quad Force General Soleimani's activities with America, his terrorist attacks against America, how they're everywhere. And then when you find out that this Shia Sunni thing is a myth within the terrorist network, that they work together, there is a connection, it gets even further. It tells you what it really shows is how big Iran really is. Iran is big. And this United States executive branch, this bomber administration are criminals, and they're emboldening the biggest enemy of this nation. They're giving them economic wealth and nukes. So the Benghazi cover-up, I believe, is statistically significant. I'm on the outside looking in. But with all the data that I've accumulated, and with Kenneth Timmerman, it's Iran. This is the Frankie Russo Show. We're going to go in next week deeper. We're going to go deeper waters with this Benghazi-Iran connection. You got to join America's team with 77 WABC's Let Me Hit Me Kid from Brooklyn, Frankie Russo. Go to russonation.tv or americasteam.today. Join America's team and get a t-shirt. You got it? This is the Frankie Russo Show, pre-show number 77. Yeah, yeah.